Real quick here, I just want to let you guys know, so my name is Joel Rudloff with A Final Take Films and DJ. I will be kind of emceeing everything for you guys tonight, leading the discussion on things, and so next to me here in a second, in this empty chair right here, will be my wife, Kate Rudloff. She is our resident videographer, filmmaker. She's the one that runs the film side of our business, making wedding films and capturing all the beautiful memories that you are about to have, all of our wedding couples are about to have. So I just want to run down the line really quick. Let's start with Karen. Go ahead, introduce yourself, let everyone know. Oh, one thing I asked them to do is I want them to tell you who they are, who they're with, and how long they've been in the industry. So I've been DJing now for 15 years. So go ahead, Karen.
My name is Karen Weiss. I'm with Fancy Plants, Flowers and Design. I've been in the floral industry for 15 years, and I've been working under my own name, doing exclusively wedding flowers for the last 4 years.
Awesome, thank you. And Steven?
I am Steven Finkel. I'm with 402 Event Services. We have been in business for about 4.5 years, but I've been doing weddings and events for about 13 years.
My name is Brittany McLaughlin with A View Venues. Our business has been open for 13 years. We have 3 locations here. I've been in the industry for 6 years as the venue director here at A View.
My name's Brenda Tharp. I'm with Elegant Edge Events. This is my co-partner, Natalie Kotrick. We've collectively, myself, been in the business for wedding events for 26 years. And we've owned our own catering company for approximately 2 years. And is that everything? I think so? Yeah.
Perfect. So I know one of the things I know all of us have been dealing with the COVID-19, everything going on. We've been working with our couples, rescheduling, and we've had a lot of couples who have actually canceled, whether because they've gone to like a backyard or a smaller event, something of that sort, or they're just postponing the big thing until maybe this fall or next year. I know we personally, I want to say we're right around 30 events that we've postponed or canceled over the last few months. For anyone who knows, I mean, pretty much April, May, and June, I mean, that's the biggest time of year for a lot of us other than October. I mean, that's normal wedding season for us. So, it's kind of like our College World Series, if you want to have it. I mean, I know that's kind of close to the heart right now because we're supposed to be doing College World Series right now, and I don't know about you guys, but yeah, no kidding, right? So, for a lot of us, the big part of our income is that. And I say income because the reason why the vendors I picked here, Steven and I, when we first started talking about this, Steven and I wanted to have something to be able to have a conversation about what is the effect on the industry and what is the effect on us personally in our individual businesses. And so for each of our businesses, like this is the main part of the year that we make our income that puts bread on the table, feeds our families, lets us live. So just go down the line really quick. How many events, how many weddings, events, etc. have you postponed, canceled, roughly? I know numbers are kind of hard sometimes, but how are you guys doing? Like, what have you done so far, and what's lost?
As far as coronavirus goes, with my year, it has impacted half of my weddings, which is incredibly significant, seeing that we are only looking at March, April, May, and June right now. So it has impacted half of my weddings, and I have had only, luckily, 2 cancellations completely. So there's only 2 weddings that I have lost out on as far as performing and providing service for them.
Rescheduled events, we've got about 60, a little over 60, and I know we've got we have 5 cancellations. So, and that's a lot for us. That's about a third of what we had pegged for the entire year. So that's a massive, obviously no matter which way you look at it for any of us, what happened the past 4 months is going to be astronomical. So, I mean, it's going to impact each of us a little bit differently, but that's where it hit us. And, 60 seems like a huge number, and to us it's absolutely massive because that's a lot of weddings. That's a lot of events that are just, either rescheduled, gone, or rescheduled to next year. So, like we're all small businesses, we have plans for that revenue. So like for all of us, like that throws a lot of wrenches in our plan, but, we are where we are, so.
I would say we're about the same, about 30 to 40 weddings that we've had to postpone or push into later this year, into next year. We've had about 4 cancellations, 2 of which are currently in the process of suing us through a litigation trial. So that's really unfortunate because they were both happening in June, which, as all of you know, we're open right now, and we could have actually hosted their event at their full capacity, at their full guest count, without changing anything to our services. So that's what's really frustrating on our part is we did everything we could. We offered postponement numerous times, and so that's the hardest part, and I would say probably about 25 to 30 corporate events that we've had to just cancel altogether.
That you touched on that as well. Weddings, I'd say about 20 to 25 that have rescheduled. Corporate events, luncheons, different things. I don't even have a count on that because it's just every aspect of any kind of gathering ever that we cater got canceled, obviously. Or with our weddings, luckily, only 1 cancellation, rescheduled. But then you think of going into next year, a lot of dates are already closed. So we've lost those events in significance for next year because those dates are already closed because of reschedules. So we're going to continue to lose weddings that we could have had on the books. And so, yeah, but we love doing weddings. That's our favorite. So we're glad that we're rallying back here very quickly.
So I know pretty much we've been doing this since March. And there have been a lot of, there have been like the PPP grants and the economic recovery, loan options and grant options, as well as unemployment. So from the day it started, I know I had a lot of trouble sleeping because there was a lot of concern, as I know a lot of our couples have had concerns and a lot of issues, Have you guys utilized any of the funds that have been available? Or I know, like for us personally, pretty much the only option we had was unemployment options because, when you're talking, we've got, my wife and I are kind of the sole proprietors of it. We don't have that many employees, so it's, I think we got $1,000 from the economic, recovery, which that covers like, half of a weekend, if that, So have you guys utilized any of that? I mean, I don't know, just.
I'm technologically challenged. Brenda and I are the owners, but we are lucky we have part-time employees. So we had enough employees to get not the SBA, we received funds from there, and also the PPP loan, and that's based on your previous year's sales, I believe. So we were lucky to do that, but again, we are the owners, so we went through a period of time where we couldn't even, we can't pay ourselves at that point. So we were lucky that there's those options out there as far as the loans go, but I know a lot of companies can't because like Joel just said, that if you are your only employees, or if that even counts, and you have to have documentation. I found that out too. Like we have a good payroll person, but like you have to have documentation to prove that you are using certain funds, and then you have to prove that you used those funds for that exact purpose. So for us, I guess we kind of talked about that. For us, wedding deposits, that's kind of how we go along. So having all these weddings be postponed. Luckily for us, I think we've had it. Most everybody has pretty much rescheduled. So they understand, and we're going to put that money towards their wedding. And we just had a wedding where their guest count went down significantly, but we were still able to use their funds that they had for their deposits. So I think we've worked with couples a lot with that, and so far we really haven't had anyone that Brenda has spoken with that has had too many issues as far as that goes.
I want to say one thing though. Those loans really just keep our head above water. Basically put food on the table and lights turned on. This is usually the time of year where we get to grow and stretch and do all sorts of cool things and grow our business to the next level and implement all the plans that you've been making during the winter and buying stuff, because it is a very lucrative time of year. And a lot of those things, obviously, buying a new venue for ourselves actually was even in the plans. But a lot of those things got put on hold, obviously. So.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a great point, that, a lot of it's just basically to keep status quo. But if you have someone that maybe just started out, and even maybe some businesses that weren't in as good of a financial situation, I mean, there have been a lot of companies who have gone under in this time. I mean, I can think of a couple limo companies, a couple venues. I know a couple photographers who have just said, I can't depend on this income anymore. There's been so many vendors who have just kind of closed up and, I mean, basically said, this isn't I can't depend on this anymore.
Really quick, Joel, I was going to say, because a lot of us in this industry, especially on the small side, are in it because of the love of the game. We have passion for weddings and what we do, and the overall profit isn't there. So if you're at 50% capacity or whatever, if you're at 100% or whatever, you're barely making a profit. So if you come in at 50% on anything, you're lucky to make anything.
You're covering your cost of what it took for you to plan the wedding and
Right.
all of your labor on all that side. So
Yeah. And I know all of us, and that's part of the reason why all of us are here, is because all of us, our goal, I mean, yes, we want to be able to put food on the table and we want to run a successful business, but the reason why we want to run a successful business is because we want to be able to produce these events. We want to be able to work with our couples and give them the wedding of their dreams and make everything happen. And we are all working so hard to make that happen. And even under the current conditions, I mean, let's just talk really quick. How many of you, and you can just do raise of hands, how many of you have either had to change the way you're doing business or get creative on income to either stay open or just to be able to still maintain the highest level of service possible? I mean, how many of you have had, I mean, yeah, we all have. I know for us, we've had to work on, live streaming options or different entertainment options or things of that sort. So I guess one of the big questions I've gotten asked from people is, hey, are you actually going to be open next year? When this all started, did any of you have a thought that either, hey, I'm not going to be able to get a paycheck, or am I going to be able to have a future in this business? I mean, just honestly, I mean, did you guys have those thoughts?
I guess I just thought, I never thought it would be as dramatic of effect, I guess, as it has been. I really thought when they first made the announcement that it would be like, oh, we'll take some precautions for a month. I mean, I never realized how much it would be. And now, yeah, we've changed some things, and it seems as if some things may change forever. You just never know, depending on what happens. I mean, maybe research will change or different things as far as the virus goes. But for us, it's different. And, as caterers go, things are different. We have to package everything individually. It's, there are so many things that change. And to us, there's a few extra costs, I guess, here and there, and we'll have to have extra staff because now we have to serve buffets and we have to do different things to adjust. But yeah, for us, it's everything seems to be a little bit different. And, the regular stuff, we know people are wearing masks, everything like that. But for us, everything being individually packaged is very, very different for us. And very labor intensive. And it changes when we talk with couples about how that's going to look and the staffing we have to have.
So, and on that note, we'll just kind of go down the line. And what are elements of your business that are changed and concerns that you have implemented to make sure, A, to keep the guests safe and, social distance and do what you can, but also keep your staff safe and keep yourselves safe? I know we kind of met a little bit ago and you guys were talking about like clearing dishes and stuff like that. I mean, talk to me about, we'll just, like I said, we'll just go down the line. What are things you're doing to, keep things safe?
So yeah, as caterers, we are at our events, all of our staff wears a mask and everybody wears gloves. Those gloves are of course changed quite frequently. All buffets are to be served by our staff. So even if people can still come up and they can stand there and they basically tell us what they want as opposed to serving themselves. That way there's no contact with the utensils, even salad dressings, all those different things. We have to serve everything, going to getting salt and pepper packets, all those kinds of things. And we're actually encouraging folks now to, we bus tables, we do all that in regular time. We're going to almost exclusively all disposables. We don't want to have our staff have to come in contact with everyone's utensils. So that's something as well. We're having people probably bust their own dishes and throw them in garbage cans and going exclusively on disposables. But yeah, for us, that's pretty much it.
For us, the nice thing is we actually are a full service venue as is, so there wasn't a ton that we needed to change just on what we do on a day-to-day basis as is. I mean, yes, our staff are wearing masks, our caterers are wearing masks, we are taking temperatures of all the employees as they walk in to make sure they're doing our part to make sure everyone's safe. But we have hand sanitizer around. We're cleaning the bathrooms about every hour. So there's a lot of other things like that. But in the general sense of changing the way we do things, it hasn't changed much because we already are a full service venue that offers so many of these safety precautions already. The nice thing is too, when we just have such a great team between all of our vendors and all of our staff that everyone is working really hard to keep everyone safe. So. We also weren't scared about not being here next year. I want to say that's a big thing, is we unfortunately set ourselves up for success in the way our payment plan works, and that's been really great to then help us open up our new location next year, which has been great. If US Shores will open next May. So.
Excuse me. Sorry. Wow, sorry. For us, it's I'm kind of on the same boat with Brittany. Not as we're a venue, but we're kind of the middleman for a lot of our planning packages. So with our production, we're in and out of there before people are even there, and then we come back way after people have left. So that's kind of irrelevant for a lot of the stuff. Granted, now when we do installs, any of the stuff that can be remotely touched or seen or anything like that by a guest has to be cleaned and sanitized before our guys leave. And then for any of our planning packages, all of our coordinators are required to have masks with them. We don't require them to wear them because it's on the venue side technically for if they require masks or things like that. But we also require to have them if any of our staff wants to wear them, they are more than welcome to. If any venue asks or requires them, they obviously have to. Or in our world, we have to do what the client wants. So if the client is recommending, is wanting, is demands, then absolutely they have to wear them. If they're just like, I do not want you to wear a mask because I want you to feel free and open, then they're going to listen to the client. But if the coordinators or the staff do not feel comfortable, they're still more than welcome to continue to wear a mask. And along with that too, all of our staff that does any of our on-site coordination and operations, they have emergency kits with them. So now we used to have hand sanitizer and wipes and things like that. Now every wedding is going to have like jugs of sanitizer and, for like kind of Lysoling purposes as well as hand sanitizer and things like that. So we just like to be more prepared than not prepared. So if the venue doesn't have enough or whatever, or if they're missing wipes or something like that, we like to be able to be ready and rock and roll. So now we essentially have our normal emergency kit and then like a Corona kit is kind of what we're calling it. But that's kind of, we're also in the same kind of boat with a few venues where we weren't really too concerned about not being open next year, just because the way we work things on our back end as well as kind of how we're moving forward with all the reschedules and the things like that. And that's just because I knew of how big of an impact this was, because I kind of foresaw that we were going to go good, I was thinking half the year without any kind of revenue. So I was like, what can we do to make sure that we stay on track for this year and that we can still be around to execute all of these events for the upcoming years? And so that's kind of what we put into place. So passing on.
I'm sort of in the same boat as Steve, wherein I don't have a whole lot of direct contact with the bridal party or any of the guests. However, I need to make sure that I'm taking care of myself so that I don't put myself in a precarious situation where maybe I need to quarantine for 14 days and then I can't deliver. And then I'm also going to follow along with what my customers and the venue is asking me as far as wearing a mask or any other safety precautions. And so what falls on my shoulders is incredibly limited compared to what you guys are facing. So I don't feel like I have a whole lot to say on that because I am in more of a protected zone where I come in before the majority of the guests are there. There's limited bridal party. I deliver my flowers. I set up. I leave, and sort of move along with my day. But there are others in the wedding industry that don't have that fortunacy that I do.
I don't know, what was the question?
Well, she was a little distracted with the little video setup, so. No, I can tell you, so some of the things that we're doing for our DJs, I mean, we're utilizing disposable mic covers. We didn't use them tonight, but at our weddings, all of our DJ bins have disposable mic covers. We're also using mic stands for like toasts. That way, you know, if you think about a typical toast, you might have 4 or 5 different people doing a toast. So rather than 4 or 5 people, one after the other, holding a microphone, we're having a microphone set up on a mic stand for them. That way, basically it's set up. They can just walk up to it, say their piece, and then walk out. The next person comes up. Makes it real easy and efficient. We've also been utilizing just, you know, in the interim when dancing wasn't allowed, now next week dancing is going to be allowed, which is awesome. But even still, I mean, I was a big proponent that, hey, even though you say you can't have a dance, dancing's going to happen, but you have to do it with social distancing concerns in. But I know some of my couples I've talked to have also kind of mentioned concerns about, hey, can we do other options? Are there other options for you know, entertainment options? Are there games we can play? Can we do music bingo or trivia games or just little things like that be able to kind of keep things going and keep it fun and maybe have something that's different or fun, you know, even in the midst of everything that's going on. I know with video, one of the things we kind of really promoted was, especially for those weddings that turn into backyard weddings or things like that, hey, we can do live stream of your ceremony, or you know what, video is probably more important than ever right now, because if half your guests can't make it, what are the other half going to have to be able to show? So, you know, just things like that.
Yeah. So like he didn't really tell me the question, so I'm just kind of like winging it here. So for film perspective, we are more hands-on, definitely more day of with the couple. You know, we are taking our precautions where the film side goes. Like if everybody's wearing masks, I always bring a mask with me. I have hand sanitizer with me. If I do need to adjust a bride's veil or hair, you know, to get the right shot, I will walk up to him and be like, is that okay? Can I move this hair? Can I touch you? Instead of just automatically doing it. Just because I don't want to make somebody feel uncomfortable. And then really too, yeah, we offer the live stream, but I'm going to say what Joel said is video is now more important than ever, because if you don't do live stream, you know, if you can only invite half your guest list, you know, you want to be able to share that with others. And I think video is so important to be able to create a highlight film or a recap of the day for your backyard wedding and whatnot.
So, and I'm just going to take a second here just for anyone that is watching. If you do have a question in the midst of kind of when we're talking, feel free to put in the comments. We are watching, or at least I'm watching the comments on there. So, on YouTube. So, if you're viewing via Facebook, go over to YouTube if you want to ask a question. It's in the comments section. But one thing I do want to ask is, with everything going on, how are you guys handling, you know, cancellations versus reschedules? I know I'll just kind of jump in for us personally. Basically, because we are a small business, you know, honestly, for us to refund deposits on everyone, I mean, we wouldn't be able to do it. But what we have been doing is, any of our couples that have been affected by it, we've been working really, really hard with them. Like, hey, okay, we're canceling because of this. Can we change things? Can we maybe, instead of doing a DJ service for you, you don't have video, can we add can we do a live stream package for you? Can we do this option? Can we do that option? We've been working really, really hard. Like, hey, rather than just canceling, can we transform it into something else? Or is there something else we can do for you? Or can we reschedule? I mean, we've been rescheduling with couples. Obviously, it's not our ideal to move funds that we would have made this year to next year, because essentially, basically, I mean, we've had couples that have rescheduled 2 or 3 different dates. You know, we had couples that rescheduled for March and then moved to October, and then because of concerns with October have now moved to 2021. And so not only is that, income for us to, again, put food on the table that we've lost for this year, well, it's split between this year and next year now, and the date in 2021, I can't make that income in 2021 because now it's split between multiple dates rather than, basically I've cut my possible income in half. But under the circumstances, I'm willing to do it for our couples because we want to be there for them. We want to make it happen. But for our couples that have called and said, sorry, we just don't want to do it anymore. Like, I get it. I want to work with you, but, we're not refunding the deposit. I mean, that's just our stance. If you guys are willing to share, kind of talk about, feel free.
I was just going to say, and Brenda can talk about this a little bit more. She deals with a lot of the coordination, but we're in a unique place where, since we have food and that hasn't been completely 100% shut down, that we've had some folks actually get married because they wanted to keep their wedding day, and we brought them, we just delivered them food for just their family. So that has been good for us, and we've had multiple people do that. But then, we've had a lot of people reschedule, which I'll let.
Right, they've rescheduled, so of course, carrying that deposit to their next rescheduled date. Our contract says, of course, non-refundable after a certain date, but transferable. So not just transferable to a date, but transferable to a different event, maybe even a different person. So we are taking each event on a one-on-one status and just dealing with each customer, each bride at where they're at. And as she said, we haven't had any cancellations except I think one. So we're so very blessed with that. But just working with each person and where they're at and what's going to be happening, and then we can carry on all sorts of different business with them and get that relationship even stronger because we get to do several things with them now.
And they seem to be flexible. That's our thing. So
all our brides.
Yeah, we've noticed most people have been flexible. We haven't had too many people who are like, oh, no, we need our money back. They're like, oh, no, we totally get it. Because, again, same thing. We have to keep food on the table and the lights on. And so most people have said, like, hey, oh, no, we're great. We'll work with you. Again, if they're going to just do maybe a graduation party or something, we can actually provide that for them if they decide to go.
So blessed, though. We have a couple brides that don't even have a future date yet. But they go, we will. We just haven't picked a date yet. But we don't want our deposit back because we know where you're at right now as well. So
see, and we've had the same thing where we've had brides who are, or couples, brides, grooms, whoever that have said the same thing. Like, we just don't know when we're going to be able to, because we've had couples that postponed from spring, but they weren't sure about fall because there was concern like, shoot, is it going to happen? Is there going to be a second wave? And we've just told them like, hey, we'll work with you even if it's 2021. Obviously, we don't want to go to 2022, but, just keep us in mind. We're not going to cancel it. If you just want to cancel, I mean, that's one thing, but maybe just postpone it, date to TBD, we'll figure it out.
So kind of how we are working reschedules and things like that going forward is we kind of base it off of date. And the reason that we base it off of that is just because we knew going into it that it was going to be flexible based off of everything that's going on, because things are going to change weekly, monthly, daily, whatever. So kind of how we worked it is anyone up until the end of July, so July 31st, 2020, we don't charge them any fees. We just take anything that they've paid and switch it over to their rescheduled date if they do reschedule. We still require them to pay off their balance in full by their original date, even if they do reschedule. And this is kind of where it gets into like, if you really know me and you know how we operate, this is what we love, and this is what we're truly passionate about. But at the end of the day, I know what it's going to take for us to stay in business and to be able to execute events going forward. And, as much as we all want to be the kindest people in the world, and we want to work with as many people, and we want to refund all this money, and we want to do all this kind of stuff, we can't. Otherwise, it'd be like, hey, we're going to be nice to these 5 people and refund all this money or do this and that. But we have hundreds of our clients, and that's the tough thing that we all get into is, you're always going to have angry clients. You're going to have upset clients because of no matter which way you work things, and that's just what happens. But at the end of the day, I want to physically sit here and do as much as I physically can to our clients. But like I said, I know it's going to take us and progress us on and keep us on the same trajectory. But to kind of get back to it, so at the end of July 31st is we don't charge any fees, anything like that. They take their fee or whatever there's paid and switch it over to the new date. And what we've implemented going forward is you can transfer any of your services. So if you have planning and you decide to do production because you've rescheduled to next year or vice versa, that's totally fine. And we've even gotten it where you guys have had switched them to different clients. We've had clients where they just straight up canceled their wedding, but they have another friend with us that's getting married, so they transferred their deposit or what they paid towards that client. And I totally allow that. Normally in our contracts it states I could not allow that, but obviously we all have to make exceptions, and like I said before, I want to do as much as I can. That's something that I can do. But then going forward after July 31st, we have to assess a fee, because kind of what Joel's talking about earlier is, when you reserve 2 different dates or 3 dates or 4 dates or whatever, not only are you taking, that availability away, is we're almost 100% booked from August 1st through the end of this year with few little slivers of availability. So when we have consistent people reschedule from fully booked dates that people have asked us for and we've had to turn away because we're booked, we're losing that money, and then we're also losing the money of that deposit because it's moving to the next date next year. So we're essentially losing 66% because we have a 33% deposit. So that's why we just essentially are losing 66% when any dates reschedules to next year. So that's why we started to assess the 33% fee after July 31st. And that's solely, and people, we've definitely had a couple clients that are a little, angry about it, but every single time I'll sit there and explain to them on the phone, and it's like, the reasons why we have to charge these, charge this additional fee, and you still have to pay off your invoice by your original balance, is because, as much as we want to sit here and dump all this money in you guys and work with you as much as we can, you want us to still be around next year and in 2022 for us to be able to execute your wedding. You don't want to pay us, $200 now and then us not be around. You want us to pay us a little bit more and still be able to execute.
And that's a really good point, because I know all of us, we're doing everything we can. We want to do the best we can for our couples because that's what we're passionate about. That's what we do. I mean, we want to produce these events for our couples. We want them to have the wedding of their dreams. But at the same time, we have to balance of just being sympathetic, because we feel for our couples, but at the same time, we have to keep our doors open. Like, we're doing everything we can to just balance those two things. I mean, we're all taking a hit. I mean, I know there's investments we wanted to make this year. There's new equipment we wanted to get this year that we're not going to be able to get. I mean, we're just not. We keep a cycle of our cameras to be able to get new cameras to replace old cameras that we're probably not going to be able to do this year. And, it's just that balance that we're trying to strike to be able to make it work. So, I don't know, it's just a great point.
Oh, yeah,
so.
absolutely.
So what we did was anyone essentially that was affected in March, April, May, when there was a limit of 10 events, we postponed their event to any date in 2020 that they wanted, as well as any Friday, Sunday, essentially non-Saturday date in 2021. And we did like the same as Steven. We took all of their payments this year by their due date of 10 days before their wedding and transferred all funds to their new date. One of our locations of U.S. will be ending this year and moving to West Shore. So the people in that window that wanted to get married, that little overlap, we were able to transfer them to another location, either at Fontenelle or State, at no additional charges. And then essentially we did extend that through June. Even though we can't host events in June, we wanted to make sure our June couples felt comfortable. So we did extend that postponement option to anyone in June. And there was a short window of about 2 weeks that we offered any couple in 2020 that just didn't feel comfortable for whatever reason to postpone into next year. And we had about a handful of 10 that was after June that didn't feel comfortable for whatever it was. And again, we moved all their funds and had them made their payments up until this date. So we definitely did as much as we can to work. And obviously there is a couple people who are just not happy with that. And it is hard. It's frustrating and really hard on both the bride side and the groom side and on our side, because we offered as much as we could. And honestly, actually, our contract didn't even have an option for postponement in our original contract. So we've never had a force majeure in there. We've never needed one. It's just in 13 years, it's just never happened. So we went above and beyond and to offer the postponement when we technically didn't need to. So that was what we ended up doing.
As far as my weddings go, I've been pretty fortunate that the majority of those affected by COVID have been able to reschedule. And for me, I've just moved their deposits toward their new date. And so as far as funds go for my brides, they're seeing their deposits move toward their balance for their new date. And I have had some brides that have decided to elope, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to do bridal party flowers for that, handful of boutonnieres and corsages, and a bridal bouquet, which is basically just practice for the next time when they do it in front of a whole crowd of people for when they do their vow renewal. So that's been pretty awesome. I'm like, yeah, I really like this. I like how this looks, so I get to do it all over again. So as far as funds go for me, it's been fairly easy and fairly fluid, just to move the deposit over to their new date.
Just a random question. I mean, because you brought up contracts. How many of you have you had your contracts reevaluated? Have you added? I mean, yeah, I think we all have. I mean, to cover both us and our clients and be able to just have everything protected. I mean, yeah. Have you guys had any clients who have gotten the actual wedding insurance?
We have one, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we have, we actually were at the special event show in Las Vegas when this whole thing happened in Omaha. We were there, and we met this insurance company, and we were like, yeah, we're covering COVID claims after June 1st. Any wedding that's happening after June 1st, we'll cover their claim. We sent an email out through Constant Contact and to all of our brides, hey, this is limited time. I'm sure it will change.
Yeah.
You are concerned, buy this. And we had one bride that did, and they're actually not covering it. And so it's honestly been a really unfortunate situation for her, but we are so thankful for her to actually take our advice, because I think I tell every tour that I meet with, every bride that I meet with, every groom, that they should buy cancellation insurance. Our owner Brandy always uses the term, you don't buy a house and then not buy insurance and just hope that it doesn't burn down. There's so many things that this is a big investment for vendors, for couples, that you need to protect it with insurance. And if you had purchased it prior to COVID actually being in existence, I've heard a lot of them are covering it, but anything after February purchasing it, it wasn't being covered.
So I haven't seen any questions come across here yet, but like I said, if anyone out there watching has a question, feel free to let us know. October brides, September brides, just fall brides in general, fall couples in general. I know we watch the boards a lot. I know a lot of you guys watch the boards a lot too. You've seen September couples, October couples, even November and December couples starting to show concern like, hey, is there concern for us in fall? What would you tell a couple planning a wedding this fall?
Honestly, I don't feel concerned for the fall. Any sort of second wave, I think we've done so much to preserve the current wave of everything going on. And obviously, every 2 weeks, things are getting better and better and better. We're already in phase 3 in Nebraska and in Iowa. And so I think we'll be in phase 4 here by the middle of July. And then, and according to the guidance, that it will look like there won't be too many restrictions at all. So I feel very confident for events happening, honestly, middle of July and on, because I just think that everyone's ready and everyone's safe, and everyone that's coming to your events, they're your family, they're your friends, and they care about you, and they're going to make sure your wedding goes off as well, just as we all are as vendors. We want it to be perfect, and I don't think any guest of yours would come if they were feeling concerns of any sort of symptoms or anything like that. So
I was just going to say too, for us as caterers, as we get into each phase, and if they limit restrictions or take restrictions off, that we would probably still just speak with our bride to say, hey, would you like us to still serve a buffet? We'll still try to work with people as far as staffing goes, but we already wear gloves, so that's, not a big thing. But if they'd like us to wear masks because we're going to serve their food, then we'll do whatever our couples want us to do, because we want to make sure that they feel comfortable. Like you said, if there is no wave, or depending on what happens, if all the restrictions are lifted, we will just speak with them all individually and say whatever makes you comfortable, we will totally do, and make, allowances for that.
And I know, like, I mean, obviously we're still all taking precautions, and we're all still, I mean, of course we have restrictions and things we're working under. I mean, right now it's what, 6 per table. Technically no dance until Monday. Yep. So if this is after Monday, hey, you know, and we can dance. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, maybe that's how I dance anyways. I mean, but we're still, like, all of our DJ systems, like I talked about earlier, mic stands and disposable covers, we're still wiping down everything. We have hand sanitizer for all of our systems. I mean, we're all taking precautions. You know, I'm still wearing a mask when I go to the grocery store, and, you know, or if I'm out anywhere. So, I mean, we're all taking precautions. We're all doing the best we can. But, yeah, so any other kind of last things you want to say? I know, any other last things you got to keep in mind as far as with COVID coming, you know, precautions you need to be concerned about? I know, like, for you guys, talk about, like, buffet lines. How are buffet lines going to be different? More or less time?
Yeah, just know with, even if we do double buffet lines, but it's only one-sided, dinner might take a little bit longer. We're not going to be able to process 250 people through in a half hour regardless. I mean, just for right now, it might open up later, but know that all these things are done for your and your guest safety. So just be patient with that. But I was going to say, for those brides, if you're out there and you haven't booked certain services yet and you're getting married at the end of this year or 2021, book now. Book now.
Yeah. So what do your falls look like? I know our fall is pretty much jam-packed.
We really will never have a day off for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, we it was kind of weird having time off during the spring. Yeah, but
We'll
yeah.
look back. Remember Corona? It was so nice.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, 2021. I don't know about
seriously,
book now.
because you
seriously.
have the brides from this year. It's taking a calendar and condensing it in a half a year, but also putting another bunch of people on top of it
Yeah.
too.
Like June 2021, we're completely booked for films already. August is
June, July,
almost there. September is almost there. October is almost there. Pretty much 2021 for us is nearly at max capacity because you had everyone who was postponing to 2021 at the same time as just your normal bookings, and so.
But be open to those other days, Fridays, Sundays,
Yeah.
whatever, because we have just as much fun on those days as we do on Saturdays. Yeah.
One of our DJs just did a Thursday wedding, and he said they had just as much fun at that as they would. And here's the thing: the people that want to come celebrate you, if they're coming to celebrate with you, they don't care if it's a Thursday or a Friday or a Saturday or a Tuesday. You know, if they're coming to celebrate with
Monday night
you,
be
they're going to take
great,
that day
though.
off. They're going to take the day after. And you know what? It's probably going to be more exciting because if they take off that Wednesday to have a Tuesday wedding with you, they're probably going to have a lot more fun with you. I mean, so don't be afraid.
I was just going to say the same thing. My fall and into winter is looking incredibly packed, and then so is next spring. So if you want to book those licensed, insured, vetted vendors, you do it now, or look at alternative dates for next year for 2021.
Yeah. So it's actually funny you mentioned that. So licensed and insured. All of us up here are all wedding professionals putting in the effort because we want to make your wedding go through. If you have someone that openly proclaims that, hey, I just do this as a hobby, they're probably less likely to work as hard to make sure it happens for you. I mean, by and large, probably that's more likely. But, sorry, you're...
No, so I was just going to kind of touch on the same kind of route that everyone else was going. So like I was telling you before, the reason that we chose that July 31st date is why we charged a lot of things is because of how booked we are at the end of this year going into next year. As of the first weekend of August, we don't have a weekend off until the end of January. And every single weekend up until January is almost 100% booked. And for us, that's a massive capacity because we have the production side, we have the planning side, we have massive staff on both sides. So it's a lot. And that's why we put the things into place that we do. But the other thing is, and I feel like every single person sitting up here is going to think the same thing. At the end of the day, none of us want to be the bad guys because this is truly what we all love and are passionate about. Like, and every single person up here is going to say the exact same thing. We don't do this because it's a job to get money or any of that kind of stuff. Yes, we have to make money to be able to stay alive and stay open. But at the end of the day, we're doing it because we love weddings, we love events, we love working with our clients, we love doing all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, there's two sides to it. There's two sides to every story. We have to do what is right for us to stay in business and for us to be able to continue to execute events. And kind of going back to what I said earlier is, there's always going to be some, angry customers or whatever it is. And like you said, we have to do what's right to keep us in business. And if that's unfortunately not being able to refund some money or, not do exactly what one person's wanting or whatever it may be, everyone works their contracts differently. Everyone works how they're handling deposits, refunds, any of that kind of stuff differently. We're all going to do what is right for us at the end of the day to stay in business. And kind of what Joel just said is, we're professionals sitting up here. We're not just doing this as a hobby. We're not just doing this as like, I'm going to do my full-time job. And no, that's not how we operate up here. And that's why we are in the route that we are, is because we care so much about each other and about what we do. But at the end of the day, we have to do what's right for us and for us to stay in business, because as much as we love and are passionate about what we do, we want to continue to do it. We don't want to just fold and go away like nothing happened, because we want to stay true to who we are. And that's who that's who I am. I'm 402. I'm, born and bred. Obviously, it's what we're love and passionate about. And we're all the exact same thing, because we've all helped build every single part of every company that we have up here from the ground up. And that's what we want to stick to. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And that's kind of, and that's honestly what I've said to multiple clients on the phone when they're, when I've had some clients that are just like, what is this fee? Or, how are we going to reschedule this? Or any of that kind of stuff. And I explain it. I'm just like, at the end of the day, I'm passionate and I love exactly what you're doing, but do you want me to fold and go out of business? Or would you like me to stay in business so I can execute your wedding next year, or whatever it is? And that's what at the end of the day it comes down to. Is that, and you're still going to get a better service, better quality products, whatever it is from any of us up here, but we have to do what's right for us at the end of the day to be able to continue to execute what we love and what we're passionate about.
Like you said, those precautions that we take so we can be in business next year, because it would be a sad thing if you do put that deposit down and then all of a sudden we have to make that phone call to you. And in the past year, we've seen certain businesses fold because they didn't take the precautions that they need to do and to keep going forward. And we've picked up those pieces for a lot of those brides actually on this end, and done a lot of things for different brides to help them out when those businesses fold and leave them with nothing. And we don't want to do that, so that's why we do what we do now.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you brides out there have been through enough as is, and I mean, numerous other venues and businesses closing, that we as professionals here want to make sure we can fulfill our end of the deal for you and give you guys the most amazing wedding day possible. And so everything that we've all put in place is all for your benefit, but also for ours. But we just want to, as a team and as a group and as an industry, we want to make sure everyone's happy and has the best day ever.
And we all work together to do it. I mean, this isn't just, hey, this is our business, we do our thing. Like, we're all working together as a symbiotic team to make this happen for our couples. You mentioned like companies who have gone under. There are a couple limo and bus companies who have gone under, and we've got a friend of ours that works for another local, VIP limo that they've gotten calls from brides like, I don't have a bus anymore. I don't have a limo anymore. We're fully booked, but you know what? We're going to work with you and try to make sure we have everything taken care of for you, because you need to get from point A to point B, some way, somehow.
I just want to say same thing. We're all wedding professionals, and we all know most everybody else in the industry, and for us especially. So if those people are rebooking, there could be dates where we can't take another wedding. So for us to have that relationship with other vendors, so we're caterers, but we have a great relationship with all the other caterers, and we could say, hey, go call on these people, or we could even, mention to them and say, hey, are you open? Oh, I sure am. So we can tell people, and if they call Brenda and say, hey, I'm looking, we really want to use you guys. If we're booked, we can recommend them to another caterer, because same thing. We know, like you said, this has been hard on all of us, but the wedding should be the best day of your life. So we want that to happen for you. So of course we're going to do everything we can to recommend another person who can help you out in that way as well.
And if there are extra costs associated with it, I mean, let's just face it, there are certain things that may cost more. Food may cost more. I mean, the cost of pork and beef right now, and even can you get a hold of enough roast beef as you need right now? Or just the fact that, hey, we used to be able to do this buffet with 4 staff members. Now I have to do it with 10 staff members. I mean, all of a sudden you have to pay 6 extra people for so many hours. I mean, there's extra costs associated with that has to happen. We want to do it, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so we just did a wedding too, which was very small because they had to reduce their capacity and, under 100 people. So normally, again, staffing wise, that would be, I mean, her and I could probably handle that. And we had to have extra people because not only we had to plate the food. So there's those extra costs. And like we said, every little thing, now we have to serve buffets. There's so much extra stuff that has to be put in place. I'm sure with venues too. I believe you said cleaning the bathroom every hour. So different things like that. And yeah, so for us, there is a little bit extra there.
Taking each bride and each wedding at an individual basis, though, and really trying not to change estimates too much more than what we initially gave you. We look at everything. Natalie is great at price shopping when it comes to food and different things like that. We look at everything. We look at staffing and all those things because we don't want to have to raise those prices too much more than off our original estimate that we gave them. So.
Yeah. Other than, I mean, are there any other additional costs you guys can think of, like with your services or just things that may cost extra right now? I mean, is shipping more expensive? Are flowers more difficult to get?
There is a little bit of lack of production as far as florals go. And so there are some limitations as far as specific florals, being able to get them and what cost is. We're seeing the repercussions of when they were actually able to plant and produce these from the initial effects of COVID. So it is going to be somewhat long term as far as florals go. And there was some immediate repercussions with COVID in that there were limitations as far as what kind of florals we could get. It seemed to recover fairly quickly, but now we're seeing another wave of effects where there's a problem with production. So I've kind of put a bug in my bride's ears as we've been finalizing for some summer weddings. And if I have an issue, they'll know what I'm talking about when I bring it up. But hopefully we can just sort of coast right over it. But we're going to have to wait and see what costs do come up.
Really quick, I just wanted to touch on that because we touched on this earlier. If you're planning with your vendors and different things like that, and you're kind of far out, rules are going to change, things are going to change. Maybe don't have that discussion in detail 3-4 times before your day actually happens. Let your vendors pound out all those things, work out all those wrinkles for you before you have that final or even maybe 2 discussions, because rules are going to change, government's going to change things. We're going to try to work out all those different things that might not be going your way initially right now and you're 4 months out, but by the time we actually talk to you, we'll have everything probably worked out. So don't worry, because when you have hired great vendors, they are working for you behind the scenes before you even think of or get to that day.
And I know we fielded several emails and phone calls from our, September, October, November couples who have said, hey, should we be concerned? Like, what's going on? What are your plans for our wedding? Is it going to be able to happen? And as nicely as I can, it's, just take a deep breath. There's a lot of time between now and then. Things are already starting to open up. Let's just take a deep breath. I know depending upon what news media you watch, they're promoting, there might be a second wave, there might not be. We don't know. We don't know. And if there is a second wave, maybe it's going to hit October. Maybe it's going to hit November. Maybe it's not even going to hit until February. We don't know. But take a deep breath. There's a lot of time between now and then, and when it comes up, we're going to work with you. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make things happen.
I will say the one thing I'm very thankful for right now is the low gas prices.
On a more candid note, what have you guys been doing? Because we've had some spare time. I mean, I know, like we've retooled some things. We've started like some vlogs. We've been remodeling, certain parts of the house. We repainted kitchen kitchen countertops. Sorry, we replaced countertops and painted the cabinets. I'm helping your dad build a deck. I don't know, what have you guys done during this time that we're never off? Like, let's just put it this way, we're never off because we're answering emails. We're still talking to our couple, still talking to potentials, but with a little bit of extra free time, what have you guys done?
Well, we've been slightly lucky again that we still do food. So we have had some people randomly call us, and there are still people working. So we've had even office deliveries. But we had we had a really good Easter that we did a delivery service. Nobody really wanted to cook, and you couldn't go out, so we got to do a lot of that stuff. Same with Mother's Day. We have Father's Day stuff for this weekend. But we kind of, we had some stuff here and there. For sure, it was a lot less. And I think Brenda and I are kind of tan because we've been at the pool a couple times. So we've stayed busy. But yeah, it has been, you're right, relaxing. We're not used to having weekends on during the summer to have those times. But for us, we've been lucky that we were able to still do a little food service.
Yeah, so if you want to see that Father's Day menu, it's on our Facebook, Elegant Edge Omaha. And so, yeah, pick up and delivery. But I painted all the interior walls of my house, so got that done. That's fantastic. I've been working on my tolerance level, so that's happening. And Natalie and I, we've been Arbonne consultants. That's how we initially met about 14 years ago. So we decided different streams of income was always smart. So we picked that back up as well. So if you picked up an extra 30 pounds from the home in the past 3 months, we can help you get healthy. We have food to make you fat, and we can help you get healthy too. So.
And I don't know about you guys, but I was doing really good over the winter time. Like, I was trying to get ready for that summer body, and then all of a sudden March hit, and it was like, carbs are back on the table.
Well, that's what we were saying too, though. We were doing, well, at first, kind of a shock. Then we got into healthy eating. But when all our fellow restaurants opened up their doors, we felt we had to support local and eat out every meal. And drink too.
Obviously. The nice thing with us having the venues is I don't really feel like much of our tours and like our client meetings ever stop. So like we were able to maintain a lot of our regular day-to-day business on a regular schedule. But honestly, for me, I was able to get things that have been done on my to-do list for the past 4 years actually like check marked off. So I was able to like revamp our invoicing system, our inventory. We actually hired another full-time staff member from another company to come in with the anticipation of a new location. So just taking some more time to train and retrain all of our staff on the new procedures and the new processes just to make our team grow. But also I've been spending a lot of time at the lake, so I can't deny that.
For us, we are also very blessed, just like Brittany, where we have full plans booked all the way through 2021. So our full-time staff, we didn't furlough them. I didn't want to furlough them. And that's just because there's so much work that has to be done, not only just with the 60-plus reschedules that we have, but when you have weddings and events booked at full plans all the way through end of next year, a lot of work has to continue to be done, and you can't just stop working on a full wedding, for 4 months. Like, work has to be done. So I don't want to say that we necessarily saw a difference in amount of meetings, but obviously they all went to Zoom. We became like one of Zoom's biggest customers. See, there you go. So that's the big thing with us is, where we didn't change. I don't want to say we didn't change too much, but with our part-time staff, it was very unfortunate because, they were gearing up for one of the busiest April, May, and Junes we've ever had. Best staff in the world, and we all do, is because we find the people that are follow suit like us. We're passionate, we love what we do. But along with that, we've built, over these past few months, we've built a lot of stuff that I've been trying to work on the past few years for growth for 402, things that we're working on, and we're finally working on them, putting them into place, putting a lot of the back end stuff together. And a lot of other places like we frequent, like a View, all that kind of stuff. They're all getting all new drapery, things like that. So the past few weeks and months, we've been mapping all that stuff out, doing a lot of purchasing custom work for stuff like that, different venues, putting a lot of different things and options into place for a lot of other venues, places that we frequent, stuff like that too. But internally, I can't even tell you how much we've revamped. Like all of our systems, our programs, we put new programs into place, removed old programs because we've actually had the time, because we never wanted to put a new invoicing system or scheduling system into place because you have so many events going on. You're just like, how am I what happens if this goes poo-poo? Like, is like all of our events, like, are we screwed, or, how's our scheduling going to go? So now that we have the chance to test and fire it, we can try it one time, and if it doesn't work, cool. We don't have 12 events going on in one weekend. It's okay if something doesn't fail. We're just testing it. So it's things like that we're finally able to do, and like new age things that we've been working on that we're finally are able to release and kind of, announce is what we've been working on.
I really haven't conquered a to-do list per se. I have it. It keeps growing. I feel like I'm not accomplishing anything. And that's because I've been able to be at home with my 3 and my 5-year-old. They did go to Montessori part-time. So I was kind of home with them. I also kind of wasn't. And I can't believe how much I could get done while they were gone, because now I can't get anything done. Yes, I am. And but it's great. It's been great. We've really appreciated the time we've had together. My husband's been working from home. I have my daughter that's going to kindergarten, and so these are our last few months together before she's in school full time. And so we've really, truly embraced it. As far as my business goes, that time is essentially replacing, my production time is replacing the time I'm spending with my family, or vice versa. But I'm doing a lot of meetings, a lot of planning for my brides that we're rescheduling for this year, and brides planning for 2021. And so I do feel like I'm still functioning, I'm still going. I don't feel like I'm accomplishing, all those coronavirus projects that everyone is. And that's because my kids need 100% supervision all day long. And the only time I'm away from them is when they go to sleep. If they go to sleep before 9:30.
See, and I was going to say, your kids are younger.
Go to sleep. They're so little. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. And it's frustrating sometimes. I'm like, I should be utilizing this time to get so much more done. But at the same time, I'm super happy with the ability to have spent all this time with my husband and both my kids.
I'm going to chime in to what we have. So for me, like, I've actually been able to take time to learn like a whole new editing program. I've switched, and now it's really confusing him because he'll help me with edits. I'm like, no, we're on this new platform. Like, we need to learn this new one. But I've been, compiling a list of like things I want for gear and doing lots of research on that. That way we can stay on top of things for our couples. And then the other big thing for us, especially with cutting the going out to eat and stuff. Yes, groceries have picked up a little bit. But the fact that we're not going anywhere, so we've saved money on gas. But we're huge Dave Ramsey followers. If you guys know who he is. So we've really honed in on how to pay off more debt and stuff, and it's been really good. It's actually helped us kind of focus on things, and we are on track to being debt-free.
And we also, I've been home more than I think I've ever been in my entire life, just because, we've been able to spend more time with our kids and be able to actually have family time and sit at a dinner table together and actually have family dinner most nights. The homeschooling was a little bit difficult from the start. But I will say, after we kind of got the hang of it, like, we've actually started talking, we might homeschool next year. Of course, on our own, like, setting up with a homeschool group and, maybe buying an RV and kind of, like, certain weeks, maybe hit the road and then come back for weddings. But
we're those cool parents.
Or just that weird.
Yeah.
But I think we can.
But I was going to say, Joel, I know all of us, though, book those weddings, reschedule, whatever, because we miss them. This is the longest we haven't done weddings. In 26 years, I've done over 2,000 weddings, and I miss them. We've done a couple little ones, but
and that's why we're all here, because we want to party with, like, we want to help you put those. We do love to party, but we love putting on those events for you and then hanging out together afterwards. But let's kind of wrap it up here. I mean, any closing remarks from you guys? If you just want to kind of chime in, if you have any last things you want to kind of tell people about, this next year, what's going on right now, like what's your defining your last statement you want to say?
I think everyone should go down the line.
So, and I can start. That's perfectly fine. And then I'm going to pass it off to my wife. So that way you're ready, you're after me. But
No, I'm just kidding.
just hang in there and talk to your vendors, talk to your wedding professionals. If you have questions, talk to them. We're here to make sure everything goes off without a hitch. So ask the question, but also understand that we're doing this. We're working with all of our couples. We're here for you. We want to make it happen for you. So just ask the question, talk to us, keep an open mind, keep flexible because, I saw a bride who was talking about lilacs and she was really upset because her florist couldn't get lilacs for her. And then I saw like 3 or 4 other florists who chimed in like, you can't get lilacs right now. There might be some flexibility needed, but talk to your vendors. We're here to make it happen for you. We're not doing things just because, there's a reason behind it.
Coming from the film perspective of things, as it's been said before, if you want to book a vendor, don't wait and book as soon as you know you want to book. I know for us on the film side of things, we only book a certain amount every year. That way we can have quality control and make sure that we are giving each and every one of our couples that attention to detail. So yeah, 2021 is definitely filling up for us. Don't wait. We did kind of cut off our 2020 schedule, but we are still, now that some couples have moved, we have opened it back up to book some more 2020 weddings. So yeah, don't wait to book.
And I'm going to reiterate that. If you have a wedding in 2020 and you don't have 100% of your vendors booked, you need to do it now. The same thing if you're looking at 2021, because there are going to be so many reschedules. Now, when you're looking for a vendor, like I said before, make sure they're licensed, insured, and vetted. And, you can ask on the boards on Facebook, but you can also ask your vendors. Your vendors that are sitting up here have worked with so many other vendors in the Omaha area, and they're going to know who's going to fit your personality, who's going to fit your need, who's going to match your day, and who you're going to mesh with. And that is so important. And they're not going to set you up with someone that can't take care of you through Corona, a second wave, whatever you may foresee coming. So that is the most important thing you can do. If you haven't done it now, you need to.
And just to tag team on, you said ask your vendors about referrals. We're not going to refer a photographer who's constantly stepping into our frame. The photographers that we refer are photographers that we know we mesh well with and that we're going to work together with. Same thing with any planner or a florist or a cake. I love cake. So bakers is kind of an important thing. So when I refer a baker, it's because I've tasted their cakes and I've seen it and I know it. And a caterer, because trust me, I've tasted roast beef from Elegant Edge. I love their roast beef. There are so many caterers. If you ask me a caterer I work with, I'm going to tell you about they were difficult with the buffet or their team was on point. Service was awesome. I do this every weekend. I'm not someone who I just went to my cousin's wedding last week and, hey, these guys were kind of cool. I work with these vendors on a regular basis. So ask your vendors about referrals because, like I said, we're all a symbiotic relationship here working together to put on your event. So ask your vendors that you trust who they want to work with, and you're probably going to get a better result from it. But, all right, sorry.
You're all good. So I'm going to say 100% what every single person has said up to this point. But one thing that I always say, and if you know anything about me or anything about 402, is communicate with us. And that is the end of the day. What I always say is communication is key because you can have extremely good things and you can have extremely well-planned events and anything like that with communication. But if you have poor communication or terrible or non-communication, just think of the terrible aspects that can come from that. And that's what I kind of tell people from the very beginning up until the day of, because communication can be as broad as talking to us about what our rescheduling policies are for COVID, or our fees for COVID, or what's going to happen for COVID, or if you're worried about us being business. I honestly had a client ask, hey, are you going to be in business next year? In full honesty, yeah. I said, yes, I am. But ask that question. You're not going to annoy us by sending us emails or calls, being like, what's this thing? What's this new stipulation? Can I have an event? What's the capacity? What would you recommend for this? But at this point, whatever you want to do, if it's via email, text message, phone call, whatever, do it. And what we always tell everyone is we would rather over communicate internally and externally than under communicate across the board. And that's just because, like I said before, you can do so many good things. If it just takes 5 people communicating to execute a wedding successfully, awesome. But, if you don't have that one person that starts a communication trail between those 5 people, it's not going to end the way you want it. Yeah. And so, like I said, that can be as broad as, nothing COVID related, but that can be as simple as like, okay, Stephen, I need to reschedule my wedding for next year because I don't feel comfortable having it this year. How would you recommend doing that? Or, we even had clients that are like, since we're changing our date or changing our venue, we don't need this production or we don't need this planning. What would you recommend to do instead? Or what planning package would you recommend to put in place instead of that? That's totally fine. You can ask myself, you can ask any of our staff any of those questions. That is what we're here for. We are here for you. We are here for our clients and your events. We're not here to make bajillions of dollars. We're here because, like we said before, we're passionate and we love what we do, and that means communicating with our clients to make their dream events a reality.
All right. So
A bajillion times yes.
I was like bajillions. Hey, I always say millions, so we're just going to change it to bajillions. So I'm going to say the same thing that everyone else has said is communication is key, but also with that communication, give us a little bit of time. Don't expect a 1 hour response because we do have hundreds of clients that are asking us, honestly, a lot of the same questions, and we want to give you a heartfelt and thought out answer. And sometimes that does take a little bit longer than our standard lead time of answering text messages and emails and phone calls because things are changing hourly and daily and weekly, and what we thought of right now, we could be different tomorrow morning. And so we just want to get you guys the right answer. And so just be a little patient with us as well, but also definitely over communicate and book your 2021, 2020, 2022, 2025 weddings right now.
I wanted to touch something that Karen said, and all those things of vetted and insured and all those things. So that's something that on some wedding pages on Facebook, you might see people shopping for the cheapest or always asking the best deal. And I understand budgets are a huge thing, and always maintain your budget, of course. And that's what I always ask brides when we sit down with them, what's your budget? And that's one of the first things that you should work on. But cheapest always is best. You get what you pay for, definitely in this industry. So when you guys are shopping out there and when you come forward, I'm not probably going to suggest the cheapest person out there because they're probably not even, legal or whatever.
Or they might not be here next year.
Right, exactly. They might not be here next year. So really do your due diligence. Shop around, get those referrals from vendors, friends, whatever, but then make an intelligent decision when it comes to, tasting the food or seeing the videos and seeing what kind of quality you're actually getting from the vendor that you're shopping.
I just wanted to add to that same thing with as far as, again, we try to work with people. We try to work within budgets for food wise. We can suggest specific menus for that. But yes, definitely book everything and give us time to, I think Joel mentioned, meat prices have changed pretty much daily at this point. So when I order things, that kind of can change. We try not to push those on right now, especially to our customers, but that happens. But I guess I just finally wanted to say every single person up here is hoping that your vision of your wedding, that we take that on ourselves as a personal responsibility to make what you thought your perfect day was going to be like. Every single person up here I know wants the same thing. So that's something you have to understand, that we're not just, again, we are in it, we have to make a living, but we're not becoming millionaires. Bajillionaires. But that's exactly what we want. I mean, yes. There's nothing, I guarantee every single person up here, if you're a bride or a groom on your day and you just have that look on your face like everything's perfect, like you wanted it, depending on whatever service it is that we offer, there's nothing better in the world. I can probably say for all of us that feeling has when we know we did that for you. So I just wanted to say that too.
Well, and I guess I'm going to add just thank you. I mean, I think all of us here thank all of our couples for everything they've been through with us as well. And we couldn't be here without you. So thank you.
Yeah.
And that being said, the reviews that come from brides during COVID go so much further than other brides, because make sure you say you're a COVID bride and that you worked with these vendors through these hard times.
Yeah.
And if you are a previous bride or groom of anybody up here and you want to give your vendor a pat on the back and you haven't yet, make sure you go do that and start their wedding season that's starting in July out right.
Perfect. Well, I think that'll about wrap it up for today. If anyone has any questions about anything, I know I'm totally fine. Send a message to me. Everyone else here, I'm sure, is going to be on the same boat. I mean, ask the question. If you have any questions about anything or are unsure of anything, reach out to any of us. But
Regardless of the topic. If it's COVID,
Yeah.
wedding, event related, or if you just want to say, hey, what did you just do last weekend, ask it.
absolutely. What did you do last weekend?
We're all friends here.
We only have like